Hi folks, welcome. Mr. Deep here for another video. Today I want to talk about nature, us and the matrix. If you check my other videos, I do talk more in depth about the matrix reality and the idea that we're only perceiving 4% of the actual universe. I've also discussed in other videos James Gates, who basically says that behind string theory mathematics you find what looks like computer code. I've also talked about Nick Bostrom, and he has basically theories about simulated reality which we may actually be in. And I guess the question is, if we're in a simulation, are we a simulation ourselves? And furthermore, is nature part of this simulation? And you'll notice all the videos that I take are all in nature, so I personally love nature myself. So I want to throw out, and just bear with me, an idea of how this may all work. The original 100% universe was created by the Mother Goddess, and though it seems similar to a computer simulated reality, it is in fact spirit-based. Then if you can imagine, the Mother Goddess has a son who's a genius, who's next to the throne, and this Mother Goddess is essentially incarnated or has an avatar as the queen of the heaven, queen of the stars. So she has a son, genius son. The Mother Goddess has taught much but not all, and this son, in his rebellion, has modified the 100%. You see, even though this son is a genius, he doesn't have the same powers as his mother. So this Mother Goddess, prior to the rebellion, had, let's say, this particular planet, which is regarded by Wes Penray as the living library, in which we were, he says, pre-modification by the sun. He says that we were the Namlu. And back in these times, we also had a direct connection with the divine. We had, I can't maybe say for sure exactly what were our spiritual gifts, but we had a certain connection that has been sort of blocked off, you could say, since the modification from the rebellious son. So in order to arrange this modified universe, it fits more into this simulated or virtual reality, a kind of technological reality that we're in. However, what I would say that it's advanced technology and making use of the existing 100% in order to form this 4%. So there is something real within the simulation. And the other thing to consider is the ancient texts do talk, the Sumerian texts talk about a modification genetically of humans. And if that be the case, this could explain a lot, because what it could mean is that the actual modification is very much a part of the 4% that we're seeing. This modification allows us only to perceive a 4% universe. So basically this 4% is a mixture of spirit and technology. Now, being the sun may operate from the 96%, or the car as Wes Penray calls it, but he's very established in our 4% as well. He's established as the God and the gods of all of these different particular religions. And if you look into syncretism, in other words, you put your beliefs and bias aside, you'll find that a number of these gods can all be connected to actually just a few major players with many different names. The other thing also is that they seem to, according to Wes Penray, and I would have to agree with this, they like to plagiarize or take credit as. So for example, the Brahma, even though there's divine principles within it, they like to claim the authors of that title. Penray also uses the analogy of a fish float, in which, you know, the top you can see and underneath can't be quite seen, and this is a way of looking at the way we perceive 4% of the universe. And I think also this may explain why we have, even though we have a 4% perception, a 4% universe, that little 4% we see, we connect with. I think it's also worth keeping in mind that it's easy for this sun imposter god, as it were, it's easy for him to modify nature, modify the weather, and modify living creatures, which we may then wonder how much of our nature is different from the pre-modification, the pre-genetically modified nature. So I'm talking about the nature we see, the animals we see, and of course, humans ourselves. So back to these simulation theories, the question is, if we're in a simulation, is nature simulated and are we a simulation? And I think I've covered the nature aspect. And I think the concern with a lot of these new theories about the simulation that we're in and the code behind the mathematics behind the physics of the universe is that for the everyday man that can lead to a sense of nihilism. Basically, if we're a simulation, we're not real, and also a possibility of lacking meaning, a sense of meaning. And furthermore, it could add to, it doesn't really matter what we do if this is not real, if this is a simulation. And I think maybe a little more accurate is the movie The Matrix, where we see this simulated reality. We see this program running, but there is a real human existing. And what I would say is, though we're in a simulated universe and genetically modified to perceive only 4%, which is the simulated universe, we also carry, in my view, a divine code or divine DNA. And I suggest that this DNA may exist outside of the simulated reality, and it's not measurable in the 4% universe. So we don't have instruments to measure it, but it's very real. Furthermore, I think that this code can't be cracked by the sun or any being as much as they would like to crack it. So essentially, this rebellious sun can modify genes and modify a universe, but not our divine code. And I would suggest that this code within us has always brought major interest from other entities, particularly negative entities. And I think this is also great news because, one, it can't be cracked. And it also means we have within us, sitting deep within us, potential access to the original universe and to the original divine creator that has essentially been hijacked. However, this code must be activated, and that requires a special work, which I do talk about in my other videos. I think the other thing to consider as well is this code, this DNA, is incredibly valuable, and it really suggests to me that this whole idea of worthless, sinning, terrible humans is maybe not true. Something there's within us is extremely valuable, and yet we've been told otherwise. And perhaps it's a secret that must be kept from us. And this DNA essentially is buried as seed awaiting germination. And it's our yearning and our effort to truly seek the truth that enables it to be activated. However, what I would say from personal experience is, as this seed is activated, there's only really one fit. And that fit is the creator outside of the matrix, not the creators that are really talked about within the systems and beliefs within this matrix reality that we have. What you tend to find is, what I've found is that it's a mixer. Almost every idea and system that I've been looking into has aspects of the divine, and then also snuck neatly inside these systems is the anti-divine. There's this duality always mixed in. So a true DNA, divine DNA activation will not really fit fully with any system within this particular reality. You could say it connects with an unknown God, a God that sits outside of this system, above and beyond the hijacked systems, the imposter systems that we have in our reality. And I'd further say that this sun, this imposter, the rebellious one, has created systems or traps that range from the simple to incredibly elaborate systems that are both ancient and popping up in these sort of new age systems as well. And I think furthermore, what these systems do is that they fake an activation. Something is activated, but it is not the divine DNA. And this is not to say those systems don't bring about great power, great wisdom, but they are not necessarily awakening the true divine DNA inside. Okay, that's all I got to say on that. I hope it helps someone. Thank you for your attention.